Just the other night, I got on my balcony, I brought my headphones, turned them as loud as my ears could handle, grabbed myself a beer or 5, and listened to the 3 a.m. edition of Midnights by Taylor Swift in its entirety from start to finish. And then me being the nerdy music lover that I am, I had the idea to review and rank every single song on the album from worst to best. And so in this video, we're going to review and rank every single song on the album from worst to best. Hang tight. Hey everyone, my name is Francis and welcome to Music Kingdom. If you'd like to support myself and the work I put into these videos, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support the channel further, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. Alright, this is usually the part of the video where I'll present some kind of history or trivia or facts, especially say if I'm reviewing something from 1976. It's a cool little refresher of context before presenting or talking about whatever I'm talking about. However, in this case, I'm going to assume that most of you watching this video know far more than I could even try to learn in preparation beforehand. So instead, I'm going to invite you to comment any kind of context, facts, trivia, history about either songs on this album or the making of this album, not just for educating myself, but for anyone else who might be watching this who doesn't know as much as you. I think that'd be really cool. Now, before talking Midnights, a very necessary disclaimer. This is my subjective opinion. This is a review, and it would negate the point of a review if every song was flawless and perfect. We won't always agree, but at least you can trust that I'm being as honest as possible and as subjectively objective as possible. The other Taylor Swift video I made was a song review for Gold Rush, and because it was a specific song review, I listened to it, our expert broke it down over the piano, we broke it into categories and gave them grades. I believe I gave the composition specifically for Gold Rush a 6.5, and one of the comments was, "You're a 6.5. Some comments were respectful, don't get me wrong, but I get it. I know how it is. MJ's my guy. He's my equivalent, for example. And talk about having to know your shit and defend someone. Y'all don't even know. But it's okay, you know, no matter how passionate you are about your favorite artist, it's not sacrilege to acknowledge that maybe this song wasn't their best effort or this album wasn't your favorite. And on this channel, I review music because I love music. So it's not a personal attack. There's just no special treatment because she's Taylor Swift. Also, I'm aware that if you went to Target or something and got the album there, that there's even more songs, but I didn't do that. So we're just reviewing the 20 on the 3 a.m. edition that everyone else can get. All right, it's time to rank and review the 3 a.m. edition of Midnights. Grab your white wine. I heard that Taylor Swift and white wine go very well together, although I was late to that memo, so I don't have white wine, but I'll do it for the next Taylor video. Let me know in the comments how you would rank them, which ones are your top favorites, which ones are your least favorites, which songs you think I should do a song review video to, where I react to it, we break it down over the piano, and we grade the different categories, all that jazz. While this was fun to do, this is hard to do. I mean, if you're in my shoes, you have your least favorites, you have your top favorites, but the middle of the pack, like 15 to 10 or 18 to 7, you know, don't take the order too seriously. And let's just get to it. I'm referring to my phone. I typed enough notes to fill a book. My thumbs were so sore by the end of the night. Hope you've got your wine in hand. Let's get nerdy. Number 20. I am so sorry if this is your favorite song on the album, but we gotta start somewhere. And maybe some of you guys will agree with me. Number 20 for me is Vigilante Shit. Okay, I'm gonna play devil's advocate to start. You know, I can appreciate the fun lyrics. I'm assuming it's not meant to be taken very seriously. I'm on board with the bad bitch energy, the confidence. I don't dismiss any of that, but this was really the low point of the album for me. I tried to find redeemable parts of it. Lyrics are probably the most just because Taylor's so gifted as a writer, but production, composition, vocals, I mean, I just didn't enjoy a single aspect of this song. For me personally, this perhaps has the worst lyrical line on the entire album, and don't worry, later in this video I will be highlighting some of the best lyrical lines, and that would be, "Don't get sad, get even." And I don't know why, it just makes me think of some low-res Facebook, Instagram meme with like the Joker smoking, and it just says, "Don't get sad, get even." I just find the whole thing cringe. I don't deny it's fun. I'm sure it can be a bad bitch anthem, but I didn't enjoy anything about it. So for me, that is the bottom of the barrel. All right, number 19. I could see this being quite a few people's favorite songs, so I don't mean to offend. For what it's worth, I know Vigilante Shit's 20 and this is 19, but as opposed to like some of the songs later, that's maybe 12 and 13 or 8 and 9, where it's really splitting hairs trying to rank them, I do, for what it's worth, put this echelons above vigilante shit, so don't think I'm really hating on it. But it is Snow on the Beach. I just didn't particularly enjoy it, and the reason why, mainly for me, is it felt very redundant, and that's okay because most songs are repetitive, you know, the choruses and verses and melodies and stuff, but there's a difference for me between redundant and repetitive. I know they got Lana Del Rey. I know it's a nice atmosphere. It's a good song to maybe take a drive to and just enjoy lounging and stuff like that. And I understand it fits the aesthetic of the album Midnights. I realize that this album itself is supposed to be a certain mood, a certain flavor, if you will. What I did right is I appreciate the wordplay of the lyrics. For example, this scene feels like what I once saw on a screen. I searched Aurora Borealis green. I do think it's clever. And that's what Taylor Swift is amazing at, but it feels a lot like other songs that exist, and I realize it's hard to make a song that doesn't sound like something. I get that, but it just didn't stand out to me. It felt kind of flat, subjectively speaking. So if this is your favorite song, let me know what you think about it that maybe I'm missing, but just, you know, if there's 18 other songs on the album, they've all got to land somewhere, and for me, this was just second to last. At number 18, I have the song Paris. And of all 20 songs that I listened to, I have paragraphs worth of thoughts and notes and just my own takes on the songs. Paris is the one song on the entire album that I didn't have much to say at all. I barely typed anything. And not because it's bad, because if I thought it was bad, I would have typed a lot more like I did for Vigilante Shit, for example. But for me, I just felt very meh towards it. I think it just didn't really do anything to stand out to me. I'm not denying the nice atmosphere of it. I think the production's pretty. I like the harmonies of Taylor's voice in this song. And I think the lyrics have great imagery. I think you really are transported to wherever she's taking you, in this case, Paris. And so I don't dismiss any of that stuff that's redeemable about it, but it just didn't stand out to me. And a lot of the songs on this album stood out to me. And this one for me, it's kind of like, this will sound mean. I don't mean this in a nasty way, but it was just a little bit forgettable for me, at least when compared to the other songs on this album, many of which are truly great. At number 17, we have the song Glitch. And so for songs 20, 19, and 18, I knew those were my bottom three definitively. From 17 on is me genuinely enjoying the songs more and more and more and more. So I did like Glitch. The first thing that stood out to me was how the production is cleverly synced with the subject of the lyrics, which kudos to her, in my opinion, for really pulling you into the song more than perhaps you would have if you were just following the lyrics. But it adds another dimension to the subject of the lyrics when you can kind of feel the atmosphere and mood and production style that goes with what she's singing about. I also really appreciated the flow of the lyrics in this song. For example, in search of glorious happenings of happenstance on someone else's playground. The way she sings that was like Eminem or like a rapper just kind of spitting fire. So I genuinely enjoyed Glitch, but I simply don't have it higher because while the production is clever and matches the subject of the lyrics very well, I still think the production itself, the composition itself, the vocal performance itself is just nothing necessarily to write home about. That and the song had 4 writers, which is not uncommon in the music industry, but if you're gonna have 4 writers on any song, it better be a brilliant song, which I don't think Glitch is. And I think the rest of the album has better songs, stronger songs, more well-rounded overall. At number 16, I'm a little bit scared to reveal this one just because I saw a little star next to it. And while I'm aware that Anti-Hero right now is the hit, is the music video, is the one that they're marketing the most, I assume because of the star next to this one that it's also popular among the fans, so please don't hate me, but I put You're On Your Own Kid at number 16. First thoughts when I heard the song is that the beginning of it very subtly reminded me of Kelly Clarkson's Since You've Been Gone with like the no, 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 no. It's not exactly the same. It's probably actually pretty different, but it just reminded me a little bit of Kelly there. So what I liked about this song, however, in particular is the flow of the lyrics. And while, in my opinion, a lot of the songs on this album flow beautifully with just the rhythmic, how you're kind of entranced into it, this one is one of those for me. Not maybe one of the best, but I absolutely noticed that as well from the start. And then my favorite thing about this song, how it intensified towards the end. So this is one of the songs on the album which was a slow burn for me, in the sense of you're kind of lulled, you're kind of hypnotized, you're kind of in it, and then in the final 30 seconds of the song, it beefs up its It beefs, okay. No. It beefs ups. What? It beefs up its production, its composition, the vocal, the harmonies, the reverb, everything just kind of, I don't want to say climaxes, but really gets a bit more strong and intense. And all of a sudden the song is hitting you harder than it was probably for the first 3 minutes of it. So I like that a lot about Your Own Kid. Other than that though, I acknowledge her ability to be a great storyteller, and as mentioned, how the lyrics flow very well. But it otherwise felt a bit flat for me. It felt a little bit generic, at least in terms of the music, right? Because I'll never deny Taylor's ability to write. But as a song, as a bop, as a production overall, to me it's deserving of 16. Oh, my back. At number 15, getting better and better, I have Mastermind. In my opinion, the biggest standout for me of this song is its bridge. I would say it's one of the best bridges, if not the best bridge, at least lyrically speaking, of the entire album, and specifically from 205 to 225 when she says, "Because I'm a mastermind, no one wanted to play with me as a little kid, so I've been scheming like a criminal ever since to make them love me and make it seem effortless. This is the first time I felt the need to confess." That, when I was hearing it full volume and reading it real time, chills. I think that is so, I want to say powerful in the sense of its vulnerability, and I love the self-awareness to acknowledge something like that, to confess something like that. That's really the conclusion that one arrives at after they've had months of therapy, which we should all do therapy, by the way. So I like how she addresses that and kind of insinuates how it shaped her into who she is now in context and relation of the rest of the song called Mastermind, and how it just shows her intellect, how calculated she can be as an artist, and of course in this context, romantically speaking. So that alone is what I love most about the song. Otherwise, I do like the production. I like the hints of strings you hear kind of trickled in there at some points of the song. I think it's a beautiful atmosphere. It's a song I see myself listening to rather often, especially when you're in the right mood. Up next at 14, we have Bejeweled. And I remember this one being difficult to place, to rank, because I instinctively wanted to put it higher. But then I started scrolling like, is it better than this song? Is it better than this song? Is it better? And so at the end, I decided that, yeah, there were 13 songs I felt were better than Bejeweled. However, I wanted to say that because it is a good song, and I guess depending on mood or whatever day you ask me, it might be higher than 14. And I would anticipate, having heard it, that it is maybe a fan favorite. I could see why, because it's a good song. For me, what stood out about Bejeweled, again, not to be redundant like Mastermind, but I like the bridge of Bejeweled, particularly when she's saying, sapphire tears on my face, sadness became my whole sky. That line especially was gorgeous the way they produced it. Some guy said my aura's moonstone just because he was high, which is interesting. I don't know about the aura or moonstone, but I know her sun is Sagittarius and her moon is Cancer. Kind of explains her emotional depth, but her ability to make it inviting. Regarding Bejeweled, and similar to Glitch, the production impressively really has a way of stylizing the sound of the song to sound like a jewel, like a diamond. I find that so impressive and inspired to be able to put your listener in the atmosphere of what you're talking about. It's definitely easier said than done. I think it's very impressive, her and her production partner creating something so effective like that. Otherwise, I enjoy the playfulness of the lyrics. I admire the confidence, the touches of flirtatiousness. The final chorus as well had some extra razzle-dazzle as opposed to the choruses prior. However, ultimately, I think the lyrics, although playful, are fine. Production, although fitting, isn't necessarily something to write home about. So for me, it's nothing too meaningful nor memorable, which is why I put 13 other songs ahead of it. At number 13, we have High Infidelity. This is piano ballad meets modern production. What stood out to me about this song is how simply gorgeous it is. The production didn't have to try too hard. It's very minimalist, and yet it sounded fresh and modern enough to where you're not necessarily being lulled to sleep by this gorgeous piano song. Another thing I really liked about it, for me, the standout line of the song, or lines rather, would be, you know there's many different ways that you can kill the one you love. The slowest way is never loving them enough. That line for me was stunning. However, you guys are going to have to educate me on what the April 29th reference is. Be nice about it. I can already hear the, how could you not know? I don't know, I'm sorry. I would like to know, so let me know. But otherwise, I think it is a gorgeous song, lyrically speaking, as many of the other songs on this album. I like the touches of acoustic guitar kind of snuck in there as well, the bridge of the ooh harmonies. And this is a very random thought, but the very beginning of the song, I'm talking the first 2 or 3 seconds, remind me of the start of the song called Lollipop by Lil Wayne, I believe. Shawty wanna let me like a. Above all else though, what stood out to me about High Infidelity were the chords. I find especially highlighted because it's kind of a piano ballad, you really can hear and feel the chords. I thought they were so beautiful and the progression was gorgeous as well, really evoking a certain emotion tied to the gorgeous lyrics of the song. At number 12, as we get better and better, I have Question, ... question mark. If we put vocal performance aside, if we put production aside, if we put composition aside and talk strictly lyrics, this one might have some of my favorite lyrics on the whole album. The reason being is that it is a conversation, and I am a sucker for songs that are basically conversations that they're having. And generally when they're done well, they really flow and you're just entranced in this rhythm of language, of lyrics, of poetry. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard the song Alone Again Naturally by Gilbert O'Sullivan, one of my favorite songs of all time. That is similar in the sense of it just being a rhythmic, flowing, rhyming conversation. And in Taylor Swift's case, I'd say my favorite line of the song that stood out to me is, "You painted all my nights a color I have searched for since." It's like she just has this never-ending ability to say something simple, which is basically, I miss you, or that I can't find someone like you, and put such beautiful imagery on it and put such a flair of eloquence to it. Now, what stands out to me about this song, as opposed to some of the other songs lyrically as well, is a lot of the other songs, and to her credit, this is very impressive, are beautiful with their imagery. Whether she's describing snow on the beach, or she's describing fire crackling, or something like that, wine spilled on a shirt, you know, stuff that really puts you in the setting, in the scenario visually of what she's singing about. In this one, she doesn't do that. And I love when she does that, don't get me wrong, but this one is simply, hey, let's talk. Hey, let me tell you this story. Hey, let me have this conversation with you. And in my opinion, that is hard to do as a lyricist, at least if you're making it make sense and rhyme and flow. To do all of those while effectively telling a story is something that, in my opinion, few lyricists have the ability to do. Another thing I like about the song is about halfway through, or maybe a little bit over halfway through, the production shifts a little bit. It changes, it gets a new breath of life, a new shot in the arm of, it was kind of slow and steady to begin with, and then it has this bop to it in the latter half of the song. And lastly, what I like about it is it goes from, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? To its conclusion of saying, it's just a question, which I find playful, which I find flirty, which I find a little bit snarky in a lovable kind of way, where it's like, I'm interrogating you, but at the end, it's just a question. Jeez, you know? Okay. At number 11, I ranked The Great War. And what stood out to me initially with this one is this beautiful melody, because usually with Taylor Swift songs on this album, something specific will stand out, like, oh, the production of this song, oh, the lyrics of this song, oh, the vocals of this song. This one was the melody, which is under the umbrella of composition. Very pretty melody. It kept me wanting to replay it, and I probably will over time and just hear it more and more. But above all, what impressed me the most about The Great War is the analogy to describe the relationship as a war. And I know this is not the first time Taylor Swift has used some kind of analogy or metaphor to, you know, tell a story and make it kind of extravagant and eloquent with examples and references and things of that nature. So I realize, you know, this is nothing new for her or her talent. But what impressed me about it is that you would think, comparing this relationship or kind of making it in the verbiage of A Great War, that it would be tacky or corny or cringe or eye-rolly, like, oh yeah, you know, okay, Taylor, you know, but it was none of that. I thought it was so impressively and tastefully done. I thought it was very original and borderline genius at some points. My favorite lyrical example from this song, if I had to pick one, would be how throughout a lot of the song, it's "if we survived." And in the end of the song, it's "'cause we survived." Little details like that. I'm a sucker for little details in music whether lyrically or production-wise, they slay me. And that's something I loved about The Great War, which at this point in the rankings, if we're at 11 out of 20, we are basically approaching the top half. And so at this point, you know, I genuinely love the rest of the songs. Now at number 10, welcome to the top 10, by the way. If you've been watching this long, I certainly hope you are on glass 8, 9, 10. Actually, no, because I'm editing this. In reality, I've been sitting here for hours, right? So, but still, while I've already encouraged you to comment your favorite song, your least favorite song, how you would rank the song, which songs you want me to do a song review for, I also encourage you to comment. Let me know if you're watching this far into the video. Put an emoji of either a wine glass or the beers cheersing. And I thank you for sticking with me this far. At number 10, we have Maroon. And this is a song on the album that really floored me, lyrically speaking. This is one of the few songs on the album, for me personally as well, that gave me goosebumps. And that's just my thing with music. I love music so much. If a song is good enough in whatever way it is, I can get chills just head to toe. This is one of them because I was just so enamored with the lyrics. For example, this is not even the best lyric, right? But the way she flows, your roommate's cheap ass screw top rose. Like, first of all, don't call me out like that. Second of all, I just love how that flows. And then it takes you to the chorus, which in my opinion is one of the best written choruses of the entire album. I see you every day now and I chose you, the one I was dancing with in New York, no shoes. Looked up at the sky and it was the burgundy on my t-shirt when you splashed your wine into me, and how the blood rushed into my cheeks, so scarlet it was, the mark they saw on my collarbone, the rust that grew between telephones, the lips I used to call home, so scarlet it was maroon. Exquisite. Is it better than the remaining 9 on this list? In my opinion, subjectively, it's not, but damn if I did not put it in the top 10. And also, judge me if you want, but I weirdly like hearing Taylor Swift curse. And I realize this is not anything new. She's been cursing in her songs for a little while now, but dare I say I find it attractive? Up next at number 9, we have Sweet Nothing. And right away, what I adore about this song is how stripped down and raw it is. Especially because if you're listening to the album chronologically as I did, the one before this is the song Karma, which we will absolutely get to later in this video. But it's a nice contrast in terms of, because something that matters in music is if you're listening to a record start to finish, especially on vinyl, if you're using a turntable and you're not just hit and skip, is how the album flows. And I thought it was a brilliant move on her part to put Sweet Nothing right after a song like Karma. Both great songs in their own different ways. And in a song that is so raw and stripped down like Sweet Nothing, you can really appreciate the lyrics. You can really appreciate the emotion she's trying to convey through the lyrics, the flow of the lyrics. Now, what I like most about the song is right around, I wrote down 2 minutes and 16 seconds, you begin to hear a touch of horns and a touch of strings. They're not overpowering, they're not domineering, they're just subtly there in the background for you to appreciate if you have the music cranked loud enough like I did. And then the rest of the song, otherwise the outro of the song, was stunning for me. I found it absolutely gorgeous. This is another song that I, depending on my mood, anticipate playing a lot of the time. Up next at number 8, we have the album opener, Lavender Haze. To start off the album and to start off the song, I was immediately impressed with the production. In my opinion, I know they went with Antihero for the first marketable song, for the first music video, for the first hit, right? But in my opinion, Lavender Haze is very radio friendly. And I don't necessarily mean that as an insult, because it could be an insult, you know, if you turn on the radio right now, but it is a song that is ready for that. It's well produced. The verses and the chorus have their own poppy feel. Now, some of it for me is a little too on the poppy side, like the yeah, oh yeah. I wasn't too attracted to that. I felt like it was a little bit off in combination, at least with the rest of the song. Now, subjectively speaking, I would have loved to hear her belt the I feel the lavender haze creeping up on me surreal, instead of I feel, to be like I feel, but you know, an octave higher than what I just tried to do. That would have smacked me upside the head. But the following lyric is, I'm damned if I do give a damn what people say, so I'll just shut up. Other than all of that, I like the lyrics. However, I feel when compared to a lot of the rest of the album, they weren't necessarily poetic, which of course is probably not the focus of this song, and she can showcase them in other examples that are not this one. In addition to that, this song had 5 different writers, and again, not to be redundant, I know this is something that is common in the music industry, especially with popular artists like Beyonce. Like, she's had like 1 billion writers on one song. I'm not a huge fan of that. I'd love it to just be her brainchild, but most of this album is her brainchild, so I won't really hold that against her. In my opinion, top to bottom, a great bop. Nothing is necessarily outstanding unless you want to highlight the production. And in my opinion, well deserving of number 8. At number 7, we have the song Labyrinth. And this song, you're gonna hear me start being repetitive with what I say because from here on, they're great songs. This one absolutely blew me away. I found it to be very gorgeous. What stood out to me most is the vulnerability of the lyrics. And I want to mention Taylor Swift is generally very vulnerable with her lyrics. It's just that this one for me was a step above in terms of vulnerability than a lot of the other ones on the album. In addition to that, her ability to play on words really shines in the song as well. But what stole the show for me, above all else, was right around 2 minutes and 55 seconds. Yes, that's what I wrote down. The song shifts gears and goes in a completely different direction production-wise. All of a sudden it goes from, uh-oh, I'm falling in love, to this like, oh, I'm falling in love. They pitched the vocals, which is a fine line to walk. It is tricky when you're pitching vocals because if you do it the wrong way, you can all of a sudden sound like some trap hip-hop generic stuff. I'm a hip hop guy, but I don't know how people listen to it. But you can easily go to that realm of cringe of this is so tacky, this is so corny. But in my opinion, the usage of pitched vocals in this song is so tastefully done. And then you have the intensifying outro with added harmonies in combination with the pitches. And then one of my favorite things, not just with this song, not just with this album, but in all of music, is when an artist or a producer rather is so confident in the song they're presenting to you. They let it go for another, sometimes it's 10 seconds, 20 seconds, a minute, sometimes 2 minutes if they're really wanting to show off. When a composition or production or a song in general is so badass, they could just end the song on a certain lyric, they could just abruptly end the song and tie it together with a bow and it's over. But when they decide to let a song fade out and they stop the lyrics and they just let the track go for however long it is, generally, in my experience listening to music, that is them showing off in a good way of just, look, enjoy what we just created. Enjoy the vibe of this. We're not even gonna have any more verses, no more choruses, none of that. Just vibe with what we made. And in this song, with roughly 25 to 20 seconds left of the song, that's exactly what they do. And in my opinion, I could have heard the outro to this song another 5-10 minutes because of how well done it was. Now at number 6, nearing the top 5, we have Midnight Rain. And basically for Midnight Rain, take everything I said about Labyrinth and improve it. In my opinion, Midnight Rain sounds a whole lot like Labyrinth. They're very similar songs, and the reason I have them ranked back to back but Midnight Rain ahead of it is because Midnight Rain is everything Labyrinth is, but just a better version of it. And I already loved Labyrinth, so for this it's like, oh my goodness, it's even better. And because it's so similar, I don't want to be too redundant, but again, I'll highlight what I liked about it. I was grabbed immediately by its production. In my opinion, it is a masterful production that blew me away. I found that it fits beautifully with the mood of the lyrics as well. And something I liked a lot is how gorgeous the lyrics are in contrast with the pitched voice. Again, I'm not really someone who generally loves pitched vocals, whether they're high like a chipmunk or lower like in this one. But when they're done well, even if it's auto-tune, even if it's a trap beat, if it's done tastefully and it's done well and it's not just aimless or random or just trying to sound cool, I am a big fan of that. Easily one of my favorite songs on the entire album, and my favorite line of the song is, "And I never think of him except on midnights like this." Little things, it's the little things with Taylor Swift that I'm really coming to appreciate. And again, similar to Labyrinth, the outro of this song, again, I could listen to for another 5 or 10 minutes. Absolutely gorgeous. At number 5, the top 5. Thank you so much if you're still watching in this video. I don't even want to know anymore what glass of wine you're at by now. We have the hit, the music video, the one that's very popular. I follow ESPN, I follow Bleacher Report. Even they're quoting the chorus with highlights of sports. At number 5, Anti-Hero. And usually with a song that is so ready for the radio like this one, I'm impressed with how the flow of the lyrics are simultaneous with maintaining the consistency of the story that she's telling. Usually you would expect that more with a ballad, but for it to fit into a song that you can just play and bop to that's going to be very mainstream, for me is quite a feat. Now, something I noticed about this song, at least subjectively, is that the verses of the song felt much more inspired than the chorus. It's almost as if she had the song done in the sense of my lyrics are the meat of the song, the lyrics are what the song really shines with, and then the chorus for me felt a bit like an afterthought. It's me, hi, I am the problem, it's me, at tea, time, everybody, it's good, it's catchy, it's gonna be very viral and quotable, but if you're comparing the ability or the impressiveness of what she's delivering, for me, it's all about the verses in this song. Now, for me, Antihero has one of the best few lines of lyrics of the entire album. Sometimes I feel like everybody's a sexy baby and I'm a monster on a hill, too big to hang out, slowly lurching towards your favorite city, pierced through the heart but never killed. Did you hear my covert narcissism? I disguise as altruism like some kind of congressman, tale as old as time. I mean, holy mother of genius. But just to show that the verses really are, for me, the star of the show, coupled with something that is catchy, that is well enough produced, worthy, in my opinion, of being the 5th best song on the entire album. Coming in at number 4, we have Would've, Could've, Should've. And I'm always rereading that. Like, isn't it shoulda, coulda, woulda? Oh, but I see what you did there, Taylor. Melodically gorgeous. It is one of my favorite compositions, melodically speaking, of the entire album. It's the type of song melodically where your eyes are shut, but they're shut like really tightly where you're almost hurting yourself, and then your head is doing this where you're gonna give your neck whiplash because you're so invested in the emotion of the song. Not just because it's catchy, but because it's beautiful. Coupled with, in my opinion, actually, let me skim through the rest of what I have ranked. I would say this is the most vulnerable song of all of the songs. And I don't say that to insinuate that the other ones are not vulnerable, they are. But if you're really splitting hairs, which is what I had to do when I was ranking these, is just splitting hairs of what deserves to be ahead of the other song, right? This one is so vulnerable. I mean, even the final line, I regret you all the time. It's nothing necessarily profound, but it's the journey of having listened to the song and then having it close with such a statement, little things like that. In addition to that, I would say right around the 3-minute and 50-second mark with about 30 seconds left, Taylor Swift finally belts. It is the first and the only time on the entire album where she's actually belting with vocals. It is the strongest vocal performance of the entire album. And I want to acknowledge, I realize the album is Midnights, I realize the aesthetic of the album, I realize the moods of the album, it's more chill, it's more lax. So I realize it's not going to be an album loaded with Taylor Swift singing her heart out, belting, but out of 20 songs, to have one where she's finally just given it something, right? For me was very, very, very satisfying. In addition to that excellent production, I found the backing vocals as well and the harmonics to be very well executed. So much so to a point that really there are only 3 songs on the album that I liked more. Now finally, we've arrived at our top 3. And what I have at number 3 is Karma. And I literally wrote, take my word for it, in all caps, a fave, because of how much I freaking loved this song. Now, in my opinion, this is a song, yes, with 5 writers, which I've harped about already, but this is what I expect when you have 5 writers. A song that is worth it, a song where you let it slide and say, it better be what this is if you're gonna have 5 writers, which Karma is. So, hell if I care, right? In addition to that, I don't think it's the best on the album, obviously, or it'd be number 1, but it is the best that is the most easily accessible on the album, because number 2 and number 1 on this list are better songs than Karma, but they're harder to get into. You know, it's you almost want it to be a rainy day. You almost want it to be in your feels. It's not just gonna come up on shuffle and, oh, I'm gonna jam to this. That's what Karma is. But Karma is better than just a song that is jammable, because not all songs that are bops or jammable are necessarily good. And Karma, in my opinion, is. Melodically speaking, I am so impressed with how catchy it is in a very unique way, because this song could literally be about a doorknob, or it could be about grass. I'm just trying to think of random words. And I would still listen to it because it's that catchy and inviting. However, it's a song about karma, and my first instinct is to kind of roll my eyes like, oh, karma, karma's a bitch. Oh, you never should have left me. Like what anyone would probably write about if the song is about karma. But what really impressed me is the unique interpretation of the subject of karma. Basically talking about how for me, karma is this, karma is that, karma is that. For me, karma is my homie. For me, karma is my best friend. And I'm sorry for whatever your karma is, because fuck you, dude. I like that. That's very original. For me, that's very inspired. It's a fresh take on something that could potentially be so redundant and old news, because there's probably tons of songs already about the subject of karma. In addition to that, I love the little harmonies that are sprinkled throughout the song. For example, trick me once, trick me twice, the thought to add trick me once, trick me twice. It's the little things. And then on the bridge, it gets even better. And then you throw in the extra ad-libs on the final chorus. You have a song that, in my opinion, is going to be played all the time. And also, in my opinion, while I do think Anti-Hero is a good song, it is number 5 out of 20 for me from this album. If I were Taylor Swift or her A&R team or her management or publicist, whoever's in charge, or unless it's Taylor Swift, I would have actually chosen Karma as the lead single, as the one we're giving a music video to first, as the one we're blowing up everywhere. Because in terms of radio-friendly songs, which Karma is and Anti-Hero is, I would wager personally that Karma is the better song of the two. Well deserving, in my opinion, of being the 3rd best song out of 20 from the 3 a.m. edition of Midnights. At number 2, we have Dear Reader. Now, okay, this song is really, plenty of the songs on the album made me think this, but this one, perhaps above the rest, really makes me think of Taylor Swift as an artist. And what I mean by that is, it's very easy to think of her as a singer-songwriter, which of course is artistry. I'm not saying it's not an artist, but strictly singer-songwriter. My gift is my lyrics. My gift is my ability to tell a story. And that is, of course, we can all agree, Taylor's best attribute as an artist. But Dear Reader, for me, had such a great production, had such original lyrics, had such a unique subject matter as well. You could almost name the song Taylor's take on life. So for me, I interpreted it as beautifully eloquent life advice from Taylor Swift to the fans who were listening. And then again on this album, you've got the excellent, tasteful, great usage of pitched vocals, not to the point of them being obnoxious. Melodically, it is a gorgeous composition. Production-wise, it is exquisite and very well done. Lyrically, some of the best on the album. And then, as mentioned earlier in this video, you get the sense that they're so proud of this musical journey they're taking you on that, if I noted it correctly, for about 30 seconds remaining in the song, they just let it play. They just let it play, which to me shows me pride in this work of art for the ears that we've created. In my opinion, it is such a well-rounded song, a near perfect song. Depending on the day you ask me, could be the best song on the album, but for sure, without a doubt, well deserving of number 2. Now, at long last, I don't even know what emoji to put in the comments to let me know you've been watching this long, but think of one, maybe it'll stick, I don't know. At number 1, from the 3 a.m. edition of Midnights by Taylor Swift, we have Bigger Than the Whole Sky. I vividly remember about 30 to 40 seconds into the song on my balcony blasting this album, 4 or 5 beers in, writing, might objectively be the best all-around song on the album. And the reason I said might is because I knew my judgment could be impaired. So what did I do? I listened again later and again later and again later, clear-minded, sun shining, again and again, and each and every time I listened to this song, I arrived at the inevitable conclusion that it is above and beyond the best song on the entire album. The composition and melodies, perfect. The production, flawless. The lyrics, the harmonies, etc. Everything about this song is on such a tier of excellence, in my opinion, above anything else. All of the other 19 songs on Midnights. But yes, what really stuck with me most were the lyrics. You really feel this chilling, genuine, authentic sense of grief or mourning. Now, I'm not going to pretend to know what the song is about. As mentioned, I admit I'm not necessarily a Taylor Swift follower, I'm not plugged into the community, so please let me know in the comments if you know what the song is referring to. But even the lyric, like, did some force take you because I didn't pray? What state of mind, what vulnerable, weak and dark, serious, suffering state of mind does not just Taylor Swift, but any artist have to be in to conceive of the lyrics, did some force take you because I didn't pray? That is such a dark, raw, real emotion to express lyrically. Because some artists can be pretentious about being serious. Some artists are pretentious about being moody and being dark and ominous. But with this, you know that it is so genuine, that it is so real, that she must have been in such a headspace to conceive the song. For me personally, it is just such a level that Taylor Swift went to that astounds me. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. You were bigger than the whole sky. You were more than just a short time. I've got a lot to pine about. I've got a lot to live without. I mean, I want to hope it's just a breakup, not to diminish it, just a breakup, because those can be very serious, but I want to hope it's that compared to the vibes I'm getting, which is genuine loss and grieving and mourning, as mentioned. As a song overall, it is creative, it is inspired, it is well composed, it is well produced. Vocals, while it's not her belting or anything like that, it is perfect for the vibe and aesthetic of the song. Lyrically, I won't be redundant, I've said what I had to say. It's just above and beyond for me, a very sentimental, moving song. Maybe it's just because, maybe it's subjective, you know, maybe it's just hitting me. Maybe for you guys, it's just another song that's pretty, but I've said what I've had to say. I'm at a loss for words. Overall, I think the album is very good. What I love about it in particular is Taylor's ability to create an album start to finish that is so consistent with a mood, that is so consistent with an aesthetic, that is so consistent with an atmosphere. It's kind of like each album is its own flavor of ice cream. Is she the only one to do that, past and present? Absolutely not, but I would argue she's one of the few who does it so effectively. Something else I'll add is how I love the way she looks at the world. It's amazing to me how she's able to see the world, to see life, to endure experiences, and then eloquently articulate it in such a beautiful way. Now, if I'm putting on my critic's hat and I'm holding it to the standards of some of the best albums to ever exist in the history of the music industry, then I feel a bit differently. I would love to have more creativity with compositions. I would love to hear more artistic productions. I would thoroughly enjoy more versatile vocals. However, I acknowledge the mood and aesthetic of the album. You're not going to be belting on every track. But yeah, for me personally, there is just a lot I would want to hear more of if I'm going to place it on such a high echelon, such a high tier of artistry, historically speaking, regarding albums in the music industry. But that's okay, because extremely few artists in history could do it all. And it's unfair to hold her to that, because she is who she is, and she does what she does well, exceptionally well. What makes it okay for me is the back to back to back to back to back times 20 lyrical excellence. Of all 20 songs, even the worst song, lyrically speaking, is still good. And that is the gift of Taylor Swift. Now, other random thoughts, and don't hate me for saying this, but I got a lot of vibes of Lord's 2013 Pure Heroine album, which is a compliment because that's a good album, but you know that even the comatose, they don't dance until... I got a lot of those vibes in this album, and maybe I have it backwards. Maybe Lorde was trying to sound like Taylor Swift for all I know. But it made me a little bit nostalgic because that album by now is 9 years old, so I did enjoy that element of it. Now, subjectively speaking, I would personally prefer albums such as Folklore or Evermore because I feel they brought more to the table as overall well-rounded pieces of art, pieces of music. But I do consider this a really good album. I would consider maybe some of her other ones to be great albums, but even still, well worth the hype, well worth the attention it's getting. All in all, out of the 20 songs, I actually added 8 to my library, which might not sound like a lot because that's less than half, but for me, I swear to God, that is such a large amount of music for me to add from an album by someone who I admit is really not my thing. I respect Taylor Swift. You've heard all the praise I've given her throughout this video, but at the end of the day, she's just musically, subjectively, not my cup of tea. So for me to add 8 songs out of 20, enough to listen to regularly, tells you what you gotta know about how much I did enjoy this album. If you're still watching this far, remember to let me know any trivia, facts, knowledge, context, history of the album, or any songs of the album in the process of its creation. Let me know your most favorite songs, your least favorite songs, or if you're daring enough, let me know how you would rank the songs from 1 to 20 or 20 to 1. And in addition, let me know which specific songs you'd like for me to do song reviews on, where I listen to it, or we break it down over the piano, where we spread it into categories and give it a score. Otherwise, if you'd like to support me and all the work I put into these videos, especially this one, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support the channel further, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. This has been another edition of Music Kingdom. Thank you so much for getting nerdy with me, and I'll look forward to jamming with you in the next one.